Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. I just wanted to take the time to record an additional video on top of all of your weekly activity overview videos to go over the final project that you will have for this course. Ideally, this video will be uploaded in the Start Here tab and within each week of Moodle, just because this is a project that you will actually start at the very beginning of the semester. Even though it says final project, this will be starting as early only as week 1. So your final project for this course consists of 3 distinct parts that'll be due at different points throughout the semester. And this is why I say hopefully you begin it at the beginning of the semester in week 1, because you will need all the time you can possibly get to work on this project. So part 1 of this final project is a literature review. Essentially, for this project, you are going to be picking a specific special population and giving an overview on exercise modalities, exercise programs that are going to be best for this individual. Part 1 is that literature review that will be due at the end of week 3 of this semester. For this literature review, you'll be going through a series of studies and synthesizing the material that you read on the special population you chose. We'll go over that in more detail in just a minute. Part 2 of this project is developing a framework or an outline for what your exercise program that you're inevitably going to design is going to look like. This framework will be due at the end of week 5 of this semester. Again, more on that in just a minute. And then finally, part 3 of this final project is the actual establishment of an exercise program for your special population. What sort of exercise modalities do you think are best? What sort of intensities should these individuals be working at? How should the progression look over a period of time? So again, part 1 is that literature review. You'll be picking one specific special population to be the subject of your project. So you could pick, for example, in week 1, we're going over diabetes as one of our special populations. Diabetes could be the special population you select for this project. Later in the semester, we'll go over older adults. We'll go over arthritis, lower back pain. Any of these special populations that we discussed throughout this semester are fair game for your final project. For this literature review, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to conduct a broad overview and broad review of the existing research on exercise interventions for this population. You'll identify common principles and effective strategies used in designing exercise programs for these groups. And you're going to examine the benefits and challenges associated with exercise in different special populations, depending on which population you choose as your subject. So for this literature review, I expect that you collect at least 15 to 20 external resources that are up to date, so ideally published within the last 10 to 15 years or so. They're peer reviewed, which means they're published in a reputable journal, and they're relevant to your chosen special population. These should be experimental studies as the primary source for your resources. For the literature review, I'm expecting that you ensure proper formatting, use APA-style citations and guidelines for formatting your references. Please include a title page and a reference page at the very end of your literature review. I expect that you clearly and thoroughly present the findings of the literature review and demonstrate a comprehensive understanding of the topic. I'm going to leave the formatting of this up to you, but my suggestion would be that you go one by one through each article and write maybe a 1 to 2 paragraph summary on each research article. This is why I say you should start this as early as possible, because if you're doing 1 to 2 paragraphs for each study, 15 to 20 studies that you're going over, you're talking upwards of 30 to 40 paragraphs in total for this literature review. So it will be quite time intensive, please allot yourself as much time as possible to get through this. Part 2 of the project is the framework. I think this is a little bit easier than doing the literature review. For the literature review, you've gone over all the material that you can find, or at least the 15 to 20 resources required for this project. And you should have a general understanding on the pathophysiology of this subject population you picked and the expectations for establishing research and exercise programs for these individuals. Now you're going to develop an outline for what your exercise program is going to look like. So this is just kind of establishing the direction in which you want to take your paper. At least one of these paragraphs that you're going to go over, or one of these subtopics to go over, needs to talk about safety considerations, accessibility, and participant engagement. So this is a bit of a different route than you're probably used to. Most of your classes probably go over pathophysiology of disease states, but we do need to consider safety and accessibility for these special populations to ensure that they're, one, able to do the exercise program in the first place, and two, of course, make sure that they're not going to be at risk of some adverse incident happening during the exercise program. So I want you guys to at least look up some papers or some resources or guidelines on how to ensure subject safety during these exercise programs. This outline shouldn't be any more than 2 pages long. Again, these are mostly going to be written as bullet points. Try to be as succinct as possible, as short as possible with these bullet points. But again, give enough detail that you have a general understanding of the direction you're going to take your paper. And then finally, part 3 of the project is going to be the exercise program. This is the final part of the project that'll be due in week 6. Again, literature review due week 3, your framework due week 5. This is due week 6 of the semester, so the second to last week. For this exercise program, you're going to develop a 6 to 8 week plan for the population that you selected within your literature review and your framework. And you're going to come up with some detailed exercise descriptions. What sort of modalities do you think they're going to be using? What sort of intensity should be working at? Different modifications you need to consider for the special population compared to the general population, and how you're going to progress through this program across that 6 to 8 weeks. We know that you shouldn't just be doing the same exact thing in week 1 and week 8. There needs to be some change to adjust to the changes that the subjects are experiencing as they become more used to it and they build up strength and endurance during the exercise program. There will be an introduction section that is going to sort of synthesize all the material from your literature review that was due in week 3. This is supposed to mock an introduction section of an actual publication that you'll find in a reputable journal. So this should be roughly 2 to 3 paragraphs in length, again, summarizing what you discussed in your literature review from week 3. You'll need to ensure the program addresses various fitness components like strength, flexibility, cardiovascular health, endurance, etc. You shouldn't just focus on strength. You need to focus on all different aspects of overall health and fitness. You'll also need to consider the different settings you might be doing these programs in. Can this special population that you're handling or talking about in this project come to a gym or come to a training facility? Or is it going to be more expected that it's at-home therapy programs or at-home training programs? You also need to discuss the FIT principle. So again, FIT, frequency, intensity, time, type of the exercise program that you're developing and all the actual specific exercises this individual will be doing and how this is going to differ from this special population compared to the general population. So more specifically for this exercise program paper, as you did with the literature review, please include a title page, headers, page numbers, and use the appropriate APA style formatting. You'll need to detail for each week of the program, 6 to 8 weeks, the exercises that were being selected, descriptions, modifications, and progression strategies. You'll need to ensure that you're using the appropriate medical and exercise terminology that you should have gone over in previous classes up to this point. You'll need to ensure that whatever recommendations you are giving to these special populations are rooted in scientific evidence. So from those papers you discussed in your literature review, those sources that are going to back up whatever statements you make and whatever you decide to do with this program. I want you to be creative with this. I want you to come up with new ideas that maybe haven't been considered. Maybe if there's some sort of exercise that you might think would be good for this population but hasn't really been tested, go ahead and throw that in here. As long as you can back it up and say that this might scientifically have some benefit to this population, I'm all for it. And again, I want you to be critical thinkers here. You need to evaluate any potential impacts and benefits of this program. We know that this is going to help them get more fit and manage their disease. What else might it actually do for them? Whether it's mental health or some advantage of mobility that they didn't have before that's going to improve other aspects of life outside of just being physically fit and exercising. So I think that wraps things up for this project overview. Hopefully that's given you at least enough direction to get started on this project. Again, hopefully this will be uploaded within each week of Moodle so that you can easily access this. Definitely at least it will be uploaded in the Start Here tab, and you will be able to refer back to this at any point throughout the semester as you are progressing through this project.